going on? How's everyone doing?
Just shout out to Colin. Everybody else who's cool with Colin.
Chucky, got anything?
Get your popcorn and your Coca-Cola and relax.
Anyway, tell Colin I'm ready.
What's going on? This is Colin. How's everybody doing? I hope you're having a great day so far. Happy Friday. See, I remembered the intro tonight. I remembered it. I actually had to think about it because I didn't want to do the same thing I did last night where I just blanked on the intro. Yeah, didn't want to do that. Anyways, you want to watch some court? I want to watch some court. Let's watch some court. I've got two cases tonight, both out of Thurston County, Washington. Both are small claims matters. First one is a landlord-tenant dispute where landlord is asking for money. Second one is someone trying to sue a airline, JetBlue, because their flight was canceled. So they're suing the airline, like you do. So that's what we have on the go tonight. Before I do get started, I do want to say I suffered a massive defeat today. Massive defeat. I lost one of my laptops. So I don't really go into a lot of details on how I run my setup, but I had two laptops. And the other one's the one I always streamed on, the one I grabbed all my core content on. This one was just kind of, I did a lot of grunt work on this, a lot of um I used the processing power on this a lot more because it's a better laptop. But I didn't stream on it. I didn't really put a bunch of stuff on it. I don't really need to go into it. But my other laptop, my bread and butter, it died this morning. Hopefully not permanently, but the battery stopped taking charge. And yeah, so I lost 3 months worth of court. Yeah, I do back everything up on. I got a external hard drive, but I don't move it over as often as I should. And the last time I moved it over was when I got back from Canada in the middle of January. So not 3 months, so about 2 months worth of cord I lost. So yeah, that was my day today. So I had to spend most of the day trying to figure out how to get into it to you know get my court back. Luckily, I figured out what was going on before it completely died and was able to transfer my folder with my intro, my outro, my watermark. So I didn't lose the my channel stuff. But yeah, so that's fun. That's fun. Anyways, um, let's see who we got a milestone. Man, this screen is like bigger, but the chat's smaller. Bree, thank you so much for the 7 months. I appreciate it. I could have just read the screen instead of reading the chat. I could have just read the screen. But yeah, okay. I gotta get used to this laptop, guys. So it's gonna be a couple days for me to get used to it. Anyways, Bree, thank you so much for the 7 months. I do appreciate it. All right. I don't really have anything else, so let's get into court. Before I hit that play button, you know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe. Do your jump kick backflips. Let's go.
There you go. All right. So next we have Elizabeth Iceland and Connor Klein and Trinity Townsend. Come on up here. Right. And Connor Klein and Trinity Townsend, if you could please come off mute and activate your cameras. Trinity Townsend, do we have you? There we go. All right. Just going to open up your file now too. All right. So similar to the last case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just giving a.
Yeah, I could do that, but I was using it. I wasn't using it necessarily as a second monitor. I do have a portable monitor. I could do that, which is fine. But I wasn't using it as a second monitor. I was using it as a whole another computer. So like I don't know how to. I can't really explain it without going into details of stuff that I don't really want YouTube to know. Yeah.
A brief overview of what I've reviewed and where I think we are on the case, and then I'll swear you all in and hear from both sides. So Miss Iceland filed a notice asking for $8,275, indicating for rent, late fees, damage to property, and utilities. Documents I've been able to review include a written lease, let's see, dated April 16th, 2022, that ran a year. Then there was a 12-month extension going through April 30th, 2024. Another extension going through April 30th, 2025. It appears to me that the alleged amount owed is after that final lease extension of April 30th, 2025. So one question I have as we get started here is the status of the tenancy after that, I guess, May 1st, 2025 moving forward. And I have a couple other questions, but generally speaking, that's my picture of the status of things. I see there's looks like the lease indicated a security deposit of $1,500 as well. That's been applied, or that is part of the lease agreement. So I have questions about that as well. But that said, Ms. Iceland, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
Let me talk.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So Your Honor, this court case was filed on December 26th. And per the court rules, I filed documents in a timely manner 3 weeks prior, 3 weeks ago. This small claims is actually not for any damage or the $550 water garbage bill that I've been left with, but it's only for rent through approximately the 1st of December. The
This year or 2025?
correct,
Okay.
Your Honor. The defendants have discussed this. I've discussed with the defendants this case, Your Honor, on several occasions. They had the ability to file the documents prior to today, and they failed to do so. Plaintiff Trinity Townsend had gone back and forth between the rental. Several times when I went over to there, she was there at the rental. I've got numerous text messages where they've talked about, well, I never knew when she had actually moved out. The individual, the volunteer, had asked her to send a message to me as far as some conversation that we.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. His phone's in a plastic bag. That's a kitchen trick. If you're carrying your phone around from station to station, you don't want your food touching the counters. I've seen some people do that. I just say stay off your phone if you're in the kitchen, but if you're in court, you're in court. I'm not saying he is in a kitchen, but I've seen people do it.
Had, which I did not get, but so for like the last 6 months or so, it's been a back and forth with text messages that I have showing where Trinity Townsend and Mr. Connor Klein were going to get back together. Then she was going to move into the rental and he would move out. The rental was on a month to month, was the last time that we did an extension of the rental lease. It stated month to month thereafter.
Okay, so after starting May 2025, they went to month tenancy?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and it states that on that, the one extension that we did that was dated, the last extension in
The
March of
final one.
24.
Okay.
So, and as early as late as in November and December and even January, Trinity acknowledged that she had keys to the rental. She I don't know if she lost one or what happened, but I gave her another key. She was talking about going in and getting all of Connor's stuff out of the rental since she was still on the lease. I believe she started to do that, but from what she has recently told me, he has had some abusive issues. Again, in the last 6 months, it's been, okay, she's going to move back in, he's going to move out. They're going to work things out. Text messages where, she's going to help him pay the rent. And so it's been a back and forth thing for the last 6 months. And when I filed this, I, of course, didn't have any idea as far as the massive amount of damage. So there's really no damage on, I'm not asking for any damages at this point, or, even the extensive water garbage bill, but just basically back rent owed, which is itemized just through the beginning of December. They did have they had paid 1 month for last month's rent, hence why I did not include any rent since December on this.
All right, so the the amount in your claim, the 8,000 and change, that's still the amount you're requesting, but that's just back rent.
Correct. I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate or not to ask for a modification for it to specifically say that it's just back rent, because the property is massively damaged, and this is there's no damage assessed in this. And when I actually figured it out for the case for the filing 3 weeks ago to make sure I submitted my documents, the amount that came out that was actually due, and that's just, I believe, excuse me, that actually had January on it, but I took it off. That was $10,998, and I only put down the 8,200, hoping that this situation would be dealt with and the unit would be vacated. And at this time, there's still a motorcycle in my garage, so I can't even like rent the unit, like prepare it to get it cleaned up. I've got lots of text messages that I can show, and I also have, photos and stuff too. But right now, my unit, the middle of March, is still sitting there with massive debris. The other stuff was removed, but it's still sitting there. So this is still a situation I'm trying to deal with.
Okay, no, so that is helpful because understanding what when you ask me, for to find in favor of a certain amount of money, it's helpful for me to know why that's owed, because then that helps me frame, what is the legal authority for you getting that money? So that is, if you're asking for that for back rent, then I'm looking at, tenancy issues versus damage. I'm looking at damage issues.
Okay,
so if this is just for rent, that helps me focus in what I'm looking at. Okay.
If it's appropriate to amend it just to say for rent. Then,
No, you don't have to amend anything. That's
Okay, thank you,
helpful
sir.
for me to know. Okay. And so it sounds like this may be a more complicated question, but who's the tenant now? Are they currently still tenants? Are they both tenants?
As of approximately the 1st of March, Connor Klein had left his key. He said the only key he had, he left it on the counter, even though, and he said he had gotten all this stuff out except for his motorcycle. And then Trinity had said she would go in and she would help me do some cleaning and stuff, which she wasn't able to do. And so again, it's a sticky situation because, they've been going back and forth in their relationship apparently for, I don't know, the last 6 months or 7 months, getting together, both of them being there, her not being there, her renting an apartment. Apparently she said she's had it for much longer, which, I didn't even realize, but it was always, she was going to move into my apartment, he was going to move out. So it's been this back and forth with numerous text messages.
And is Trinity staying there now? Is she living there?
No, as of right now, no one is there. And, she does have a key. I think she said that she had lost the other key, but she has a key that I gave her approximately a month or so ago. Because she was, she didn't want to be accountable for all the damage. There was an enormous amount of damage. And I actually said to her, I'm not going to go after you for the massive amount of damage to this unit, even though they had a dog there together. This is just about rent.
Okay. All right. And so this sounds like this went to a month, and then as
Correct.
of the month of March 2026, they're no longer formally your tenants, but they've got some.
I believe so. And I need to probably consult legal, but I believe since he turned over the key and she says she does not want to be on the lease, I believe I'm okay to probably, clean my unit and deal with my unit. But at this point, I have not removed certain things from the garage that are still.
Okay. All right. And then looking at the itemized breakdown of the rent, so that I'm clear.
Yes.
And I haven't done all the math here, but what you're saying is between May of 2025 and December of 2025, there's a breakdown here of rent and late fees. Are you saying that the 8,275 number comes from the back due rent?
Through about November.
Through about November. Okay.
Yes, correct, Your
All
Honor.
right. So all the allegations about what's owed is here on the
Correct.
debts portion of 2025.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. All right.
you, sir.
So looks like
All right. So I don't know. We can call that chapter 1. We heard the complaint. We kind of have an idea what's going on. You think it's going to be that simple? No, it's not. No, it's never that simple. If it was that simple, it wouldn't be in court.
Ms. Townsend and Mr. Klein are in different places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hear from you both individually rather than at the same time. I think that will just help keep things a little simple. So first up on my screen, at least I see Mr. Klein. So Mr. Klein, I'll have you raise your right hand, please. All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Okay, so go ahead. And again, it sounds like there's been a lot of issues, some alleged damage to the property, things like that, some issues with the motorcycle still being there. To help focus comments, what you just heard there from Miss Iceland is the only issue before the small claims court here is back rent from when this was converted into a month-to-month in May of 2025. And so it's helpful for me as kind of the fact finder here to just hear about that. So hear about allegations that there's $8,275 due in back rent starting in May of 2025. So go ahead.
Trinity, she moved out November 24, like she said. So she hasn't been there. The only reason she was ever stopping by is I was watching her kid, and so she wasn't living there that whole time, this whole back rent thing. So that's on me, 100%. And I was on and off jobs. So yeah, I take responsibility. I don't remember signing another lease extension in 2025. I think it's been a while since I've done that, but I don't think that matters, but
okay.
Yeah.
Are you the amount alleged here, the 8,275 in back rent? You saying that's an amount you feel you owe?
I have no clue, and I feel like that is a little high, but I have not done the math either, and to be honest, I haven't really looked into it at all. Okay. So that is I have no idea.
We can do the math here because I have got it itemized in front of me.
But I would. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. And we can do that here quickly. That's easy enough. Are you saying though that if the amount here that's itemized in back rent works out to the amount owed, you're sort of acknowledging that's an amount you owe, Ms. Iceland?
Yeah. Well, I made small payments here and there, and I like it could have been over like Cash App or in person, and I just don't know the exact amount.
All right. So a couple of things. Well, I appreciate your candor, sir. And just so you're aware, so everyone's comfortable moving forward, I do have it sounds like you're not.
I'm starting to second guess if it's in a bag or not, because we can hear him perfectly clear. So I started to think maybe it's just shattered glass and he dropped his phone and that's what we're looking at. But if that was the case, it wouldn't be moving. I'm really confused now. It doesn't matter. This isn't relevant at all.
Necessarily disputing that this became a month-to-month, but I do have in front of me the final lease extension dated March 5th, 2024. Looks like signed by yourself, Ms. Townsend. That does indicate that the lease at the time would be in effect from May 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2025, and then it provides and a month-to-month thereafter with rent at $1,620 per month, pet rent an additional $35 per month. So it does look like that's there. Okay. Well, Ms. Townsend, I'm happy to swear you in if you'd like to testify as well, but it sounds like Mr. Klein there is indicating he's sort of taking ownership of the amount posted. So I can swear you in if you want to provide some testimony, but if not, that's fine too.
I mean, I just would like to state my case just in case this does like end up, I know he's taking responsibility, but I would like to state my,
All right.
stuff,
If
so.
you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, you're welcome to address the court again, though. You know, I want to caution you to just keep your comments associated with the issue of back rent.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, I was just wanting to state that, yes, I did move out November 1st of 2024. I had moved out and gotten into my own place for personal reasons that don't need to be discussed. But yes, I did leave with my son, and she mentions me being at the property, and that was just because, like Connor has mentioned, because we have my son that he has been helping raise for the last 5 years. So there was no reason for her to indicate because I was there that I was living in the unit. I had made it very clear on the 17th of November 2024 that I had moved out and that she could use my deposit to pay any and use that towards anything owed, and that I wanted to be removed from the lease, but she never removed me from the lease. And when I last met with her, she provided copies of all the the lease agreements, but she never provided the last one. So I don't even know. I'm sure you have it, but I was unaware that it was month to month because she never provided me a copy with that one. So had I known that, I would have asked her to like, again, I would have gone to court to remove myself since she refused to remove me off the lease when I had asked her to. Because I had no intention of moving back in unless he moved out, and that's all I had mentioned to her. And I know we have text messages saying that if he ever moves out, that I'd like to rent the unit again, because I do miss living in a unit with a garage, but I had never moved back in. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right, I'm going to do some math here.
And I do have a copy of my new lease that I had moved out to as well. So with my new rental.
Okay.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure, go ahead.
One of the things that made this a real kind of a crazy situation is Trinity Townsend said that her lease would be up in the end of September, so she was going to move back in. Her and Connor text messages stating that, you know, they'd gotten back together, they were hanging out and celebrating her birthday in August and September. He was going to move out, she was going to stay on the lease. So yeah, it was a crazy situation where, you know, he works underneath the table, so there's absolutely no way I would be able to, you know, follow through on just him. He himself has said in text messages and to her, you know, I'm going to make sure I damage this unit as much as possible because you're on the lease and you're going to be responsible for it as well.
Right. So what I understand some people want to make records about some of the more dynamic issues in this arrangement. I'm going to just kind of stop us here though, because I think we've reached resolution at this point. You know, this isn't necessarily a forum to kind of get into some of that other stuff, especially since, you know, these are informal proceedings, but we are on the record and folks are under oath, and I don't want to wade into territory that's not relevant to the issue of the small claims judgment. So I'm going to find in favor of Ms. Iceland in the amount requested. That amount is going to be owed. I'm going to dismiss Trinity Townsend, given what we're hearing today as defendant number 2. And so we'll reflect that in the judgment.
She was staying there, Your Honor. She was going back and forth.
No, I was not.
Well, it sounds like Mr. Connor or Mr. Klein is taking responsibility for the amount owed. And so we're going to have a judgment against him. All right. And so, yeah.
Does it matter, Your Honor, if the reason he's making this deal to agree that she shouldn't be responsible is because she has a protection order against him and she will release that protection order if he does
Again,
this.
this is the kind of
We
thing
do
that
not
we're
have a
getting into
protection
today.
order.
Yeah, these are the kind of things we're not getting into. All right.
There's literally no protection order.
All right, so ma'am is going to be $275. Filing fee. And yeah, do you have information on?
It should be filed there for the service, Your Honor,
Yeah.
$50.
Oh, there it is.
So-
Yeah. Okay.
So is there no like obligation to the fact of the court filings and like no documentation was provided as of this morning for the dip? I thought it was real important to.
You won. You just got your $8,000 judgment. What? Why? Why are you? Just stop talking, lady.
Make sure that the paperwork got filed so people could respond.
What are you concerned about? You're
Well,
ruling in your favor. What's the issue?
Well, because I'm very concerned about not having Trinity on it when, if she had specifically said to me, I'm not gonna be there, rather than this back and forth, and she was going there and, having it just be on him.
Oh, I see.
He
I see
works
the
under the
issue.
table.
Okay, I see the issue. I'm sorry. Okay.
And that's why I didn't end the lease, because I've got text messages of her saying, I'm gonna get in September. And so
Right.
she has a job that she actually works that's above
I
the
understand.
table.
I understand what you're saying.
It's very,
Okay.
and I told her there's about $10,000 in damage. And I told her, I'm not gonna go after her, even though she logged there, which did massive damage, another issue. And floors had to be ripped up. I'm not going to go after her for any of that $10,000 damage, but she understood that she was gonna be accountable.
All right.
For
I
part of the
understand
rent,
what
Your
you're saying.
Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, I understand. That's helpful to know. All right, so Ms. Townsend, similar to Mr. Klein, what I have in front of me is again that lease extension dated March 5th, 2024, which looks like you did sign. And it says that it indicates that this is a lease extension and agreement between Elizabeth Iceland and the tenants, Trinity Townsend and Connor Klein. As discussed with the above persons, the lease will be extended for 12 months, May 1st, 2024, April 30th, 2025, and month to month thereafter. Rent is $1,620 per month, pet rent an additional $35 per month. Now, when are you, Ms. Townsend, when are you saying you were no longer a tenant?
I moved into my apartment.
That was my guess, because we thought his phone was in a plastic bag, and I was just assuming that maybe he was in a kitchen. I was wrong. That's not a kitchen. That looks like an apartment or a house. I don't think he's at work. So yeah, I think the plastic bag is out the window now. It's just his lens. It's probably just dirty.
That I live in currently, November 1st, 2024. I notified her on the 17th of November of that year that I had moved out and that I wanted her to take the deposit and keep it because I had left, and that I no longer wanted to be responsible for the unit. But I said that I understand if there had been damages prior to me leaving that date, that was what that deposit should go towards. But I didn't want to be responsible for the rental anymore. And then there has been messages between us over the year and a half that I've been gone where I told her if Connor was removed from the lease and they ended their lease, that I would be willing to re-sign a new lease with her, but we never re-signed a new lease. I shouldn't be responsible for the months that he's been living there by himself. And she keeps bringing up the fact that I'd been there, but like I said, I'd only been there a handful of times to pick my son up because he has been a stepfather to my son and helping raise him while I'm at work. That is the only reason I was ever there. I never lived there. I have a whole 2 leases that I've signed at this rental that I live at now, where I've been living here every single day. I stay the night here every night with my child. I've never lived in that unit since November 1st. I moved out October 31st into this apartment. So I don't understand why she's trying to make me responsible for back rent that's been from 2025 on, when she should have removed me from the lease multiple times when I had asked her to. I never asked her to take over the lease. I said I want to sign a new lease if that were ever him leaving, because I wanted to have a bigger house eventually again one day. But I don't feel like I should be responsible for his back rent. He stated that I shouldn't be responsible for it because he's agreeing I have not been living there. I can show proof of my rental here. I live at Deschutes Cove Apartments in Tumwater. I've lived here. It's low income. I've lived here since November 1st, 2024.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how leases work. Your name's on the lease, so your name's going to be on the judgment. Whether or not he pays it or not, that's you guys can discuss that. But yeah, your name's going to be on the judgment. I'm sorry.
And I understand her concern with everything, but I don't think it's fair that me as a single mother be responsible for back rent due while I'm also trying to take care of my own place. Like, I didn't live there, so I don't see why I'm supposed to be responsible for not.
Well, so, okay, so Miss Townsend, one of the issues is, I hear what you're telling me. I don't have anything in front of me indicating any of this. And so, folks are, we do have a rule as part of this process. If you want the court to look at things, you got to file it with the court.
And I
Otherwise,
wasn't aware that I had to do that. She just told me that she filed and that she said you just have to go to court, and that she was trying to like work out a deal with me, basically telling me if I moved back in that she would take me off the claim. So she was trying to basically blackmail me into moving back in.
So Miss Townsend, the
over.
problem though is, so I understand. It's not the petitioner's job though to educate defendants on kind of what they need to do on the process. When you're served notice of a small claims judgment or claim against you, at that point it sort of becomes on you to respond.
Well, I didn't even get notified of it. The only reason I was notified of this was because of him, because he told me that there was one. She never sent me any paperwork, just him. So that's where I'm like confused on how I was supposed to even be notified, because had me and him not been in contact at all, I would have never known that there was even a notice filed against me, because he sent me pictures of the paperwork. I didn't get anything in the mail stating I had court. Like, he was the one that had to tell me, oh, the landlord has been serving both of us. But she only served him, not me.
Both of them were served, and she even called me and told me that she picked up her packet of paperwork at that rental.
No,
and
he gave me the paperwork because I had to get it from him, but you didn't serve me directly.
That's correct. I served you at the residence.
I was not at the residence.
Who lives at 1419 Phones Road?
Me. That was me.
Well, both of them.
I do not live there. I live at 7201 Henderson Boulevard.
Nothing was ever given to me. I've moved out as in October. They were talking about, oh, we're going to get back together. I've got text messages from saying Trinity's helping, even though she's not here very much. She's going to help with the rent. We're going to work this out, but we have to wait till October till her lease expires at the other location. Okay, so it was like a back and forth, and
there's no text messages from me regarding that.
October they were saying that they were going to work this out. They're going to get back together. So it kept going on this month to month.
I asked November 17th of 2024 for you to remove me from the lease. You did not. That is not my fault.
Well,
all right. So here's what we're going to do. So we're not going to make a decision today. There's a lot more information we need to, and what I am seeing on the certificate of service, it looks like defendant Trinity Townsend was served on a Phones Road address received by Connor Klein. I don't have any information on where Miss Townsend lives, but I will want to, if they don't live together, then we're going to need proof that both have been served. And because it is indicating on the proof of service that Connor Klein was the receiving party at this Phones Road address. And again, these are informal proceedings in the sense that we do just want to have all the information before the court. And I do think, given the status of a month-to-month lease, if Ms. Townsend has information indicating whether or not that continued, I think that would be important to see. So we're gonna reset this then. I do want to see proof that Trinity Townsend was served separate from Connor Klein.
She was served at that residence, Your Honor.
I was
She
not.
was-
And,
She was
and,
not
and
there.
she even called me and told me, I got the packet of paperwork from the rental. She specifically told me I got it. Plus, I gave her information when I met her 3 weeks ago when she
You
was
gave
gonna
me-
come and help clean. I gave her information regarding this court proceeding prior to the deadline for her to file any documents in this case. And at that point, I told her, because there's as much
Yeah, Java puppy. If she just kept her mouth shut, we would have finished this hearing 15 minutes ago, and she would walk away with the judgment. Yeah, she talked herself into this.
damage to this rental as there's loss of rent. And I said, I will not ask you for any of the damage, the massive damage to this rental. You know, if you're accountable for this, the rent, because the rent is only half of it, Your Honor. And she was there. She knew that the dog was, literally pooping all over this rental and the damage it was doing. She knew about this. I've got massive photos to show. And I said, you never said, okay, I'm going to for sure move out, and no, I'm not going to move back in October. It was this back and forth stuff.
November
So it
17th, I
continued-
told you I moved
So-
out.
Right,
That was
so
over a year and a
this-
half
we're,
ago.
we're gonna address this at a later date. That's what we're
Yeah,
gonna do.
that's a great idea.
I understand what you're saying, ma'am, about the issues with service. But if Ms. Townsend and Mr. Klein don't live together, I don't know if this reflects that she was given adequate service. And so we're gonna reset it.
Okay,
That's what we're gonna
and
do.
she knows, obviously, because she is here
She's
on
here.
Zoom,
That's
so she got
right.
the information.
That's right.
At the
But
time.
whether or not she's got the amount of time folks have to respond, I just think, again, I want to have the benefit of everything before me, before making a decision as to that 8,000 and change here. So we'll reset it to May 15th.
Okay.
And then, again, we're going to want to make sure, Trinity, I understand you've got actual notice here of the hearing. But I think it's important that we have proof of service of.
Yeah, Al, you're right. And I mean, this Trinity lady and the landlord, I feel like they're the same person. They just want to talk to talk. It doesn't, like, what they're saying isn't always relevant. They have to be right. So they want to get the last word in. They're the exact same person. No wonder they didn't get along.
The same small claims packet that you gave at the Phones Road address to Mr. Klein, that is also served on Ms. Townsend. So the court record can reflect that she has everything.
If I can find the text message where she says she picked up the packet, she has the packet.
I'm not
and she
saying
knows
that I didn't review it. I'm saying that he had.
But she didn't review it, but she
myself
got it, Your
directly. I'm
Right.
just stating that I was not given the proper information that tells me that I'm supposed to petition on my end against this. That's where I'm
Well,
saying.
so for that, Ms. Trinity, again, or Ms. Townsend, that's not information that you're necessarily entitled to. That you're supposed to defend yourself, right? So that's not
Okay.
the. And so then that's, you just go to Thurston County District Court website. There's a whole site on the small claims process, and it explains
Right.
what you got to do.
Yeah, but
and
like
that
I
includes-
didn't get my own packet. He got his packet, and he
Right,
did.
so and I'm saying you got to be served with your packet. I'm saying that, but the next steps as far as how to respond and represent yourself, that's on you. That's not on.
Yeah,
that's not
and I
on
understand
this
that, but
item.
I just don't understand how I'm still being held responsible for something when I
Well,
weeks
because
out had notified her I moved out and that I wanted off the lease. Like, was I supposed to file something with the courts saying that I needed removed from a lease? Because I figured that would have just been a conversation you have with your landlord, like, hey, whatever it takes for me to pay to get off the lease, I will pay that. And that was November 17th. Like, I don't understand how she just kept me on. And then
You're about to find yourself in contempt. The judge just told you to stop and you kept going. This is a good way to keep yourself on the good side of the judge. And no, again, that's not how contracts work. That's not how leases work. That I, I don't. I am stumbling over my words because I can't deal with this. How are you raising a kid and you are failing at a basic principle contracts?
Understand the back and forth with like me wanting to re-sign a new lease with her when he was removed from the lease, but he never got removed from the lease, so I never followed through with taking that into consideration with her because you
Ms.
know what I mean?
Townsend, if you keep interrupting the judge at a
I'm
small
sorry.
claims hearing, okay, you're not going to look very good when a judge decides how to resolve the case.
Okay,
All right. So you need to, I understand these things get heated, but when the judge starts talking, you need to stop talking.
okay.
All right. Resetting the case because you do need to get proper notice. So you're going to get proper notice and then you need to figure out how to respond. And I'm not going to tell you how to respond, but what Miss Iceland has filed shows the last thing the court sees here is a lease extension that you signed agreeing to a month-to-month lease at that residence. And that's the last thing in the court file. So if that's what the court's looking at, if you have information responsive to that, then it's your responsibility to file that with the court when we come back here and take a look at making a decision on the back rent. Because right now, that's the last thing the court has is a lease extension that you signed saying it's that you're agreeing to a month-to-month after May 2025. All right. So we'll be back on May 15th at 9 o'clock.
Your Honor, I have no addresses for these people. I don't know where they work. Can I please get the information so that they could actually, like I could sign it rather than serving them at the residence. I could personally serve them. I have no information on where they're at.
And that's part of the process is you got to figure. I mean, the court doesn't help people serve process.
Well, because I didn't have her new address, she never gave me anything in writing. Okay, I've moved out for sure. I'm not coming back.
And congratulations, you just admitted to not serving her. So why are we even adjourning this anymore? I mean, no, we're adjourning it to prove service. But now it should just be, I don't know. Do you dismiss it at this point? She just proved it. I didn't serve her.
The only way that I could serve her was by serving her at the residence that she was going back and forth to. And I served her, if you look at the documentation, Your Honor, I served her not personally. I served Connor personally, and I served her through the residence that I had on file, the only information that I had. And I have text messages where she said, I picked up the pack of paperwork when she was there.
We were kind of going back and forth on this now. There are other ways, the service rules provide, if you can't locate their residence, there are other ways to serve people, alternative service. And there are ways to do that. I can't give you legal advice on how to do that though. So you got to find her last known address. If you can't find that or that's being withheld from you, there are other ways to serve people. And that's all spelled out in the rules. So we'll have to do that.
So I can't, so are you saying, Your Honor, that I can't have the address so I can personally serve her? Is that, I just want to have a firm
All right, well,
understanding
Ms.
that.
Townsend, is there
I
an
can give it
address?
to her
where
right
you-
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
what's your address? Yeah.
7.
No, we're not doing that. And no, Connor's not going to sit down. He's trying to run as fast as he can away from both of these people.
1.
There you go.
Could I get an address for Connor?
You've served him.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just service on Ms. Townsend now.
Is there a way to have an amendment on this, since amended claim on this, since I've told Trinity that I would not, Ms. Townsend, I wouldn't go after her for this other massive amount of damage. If she could have accountability, is there a way to amend it? Because since it doesn't include any of the damage to the property, it doesn't include the utilities.
Well, small claims court is maxed out at $10,000 and you're already right up against that. So
Is it for different situations? Because I didn't know of the damage at the time of the late fees.
it's $10,000 period. So that's all you get in small claims. If you want to file a lawsuit alleging more damages, you got to go across the way to Superior Court and file a.
In a separate motion.
Yeah,
Your
that's
Honor?
it. Well, they don't have small claim. This is small claims is allegations of owing $10,000 or less. If you're asking for more than that, you have to file a lawsuit in Superior Court asking for damages based on
So can I just have an amendment on this that it's specifically for rent and late fees and no damage to the property, Your Honor? Since I didn't know of the damage at the time.
If you're well, you're already alleging in this. I mean, the important thing is you give notice to the defendants of what you're alleging. They should. So if you're going to allege back rent, it's important to make that clear. If you're going to allege property damage, they need to know what they need to respond to.
Yeah, at that point, I didn't have the damage it was only the outside and stuff and what the.
Okay. Then I would recommend filing. Can they do an amended small claims?
Yes.
An attorney told me that we could
All right,
actually do
yeah,
that.
so you can do that. So
appropriate.
it's important you can amend that and just be very clear what you're alleging they owe and why, so that they can respond. They have notice of what you're saying.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see everyone back on May 15th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Oh man, May 15th, so far away. It's 2 months. Yeah, that one was exhausting. I don't really have anything else to say. I did want to respond to Java Puppy. Stop complaining, Colin. You are the one who chose to subject us to this. Yeah, I did. Not really 100% my fault. I mean, it's like 99% my fault. But I lost all my court content today. So, yeah, and then I spent most of the day trying to figure out a way to get into my laptop. So, yeah, it was kind of a last minute throw some stuff together. I was gonna cancel tonight's stream, so I didn't. I didn't. I was able to find a few things. Judge Simpson had a really good case today, which I'm gonna save for Members Monday because it's kind of hilarious, and I feel like that's gonna be a really good Members Monday stream. So I'm gonna save that for Members Monday. Anyways, we got one more. We got someone who bought plane tickets on JetBlue and then was unhappy with the service, so she filed a lawsuit against them. Unhappy with the service, or her flight got canceled. Either way, she's suing JetBlue. Let's go.
Tiana Barraza, I'm sorry, and JetBlue. Okay. So similarly, what we're going to do here is I'm going to sort of go over my review of the claim and where we're at.
Yeah, Felix, that's what I was just saying. Both of these hearings happened today because I lost all my court. Anything that's happened before this morning, I lost. I have no access to my laptop that had everything on it. I have a separate hard drive where I do back up things, but I usually wait about a month or two before I transfer everything over there. So, yeah, everything I have is from today.
As far as kind of the allegations, and then I'll swear you both in, and we'll go from there. So, all right, Miss Barraza is claiming $3,900.91 for reimbursement from JetBlue for a canceled flight, and then some damages associated with that canceled flight. So my review is that on July 31st, 2025, Ms. Barraza and her family had 3 tickets to Boston for a roller derby tournament for their son. And there was some, I think, 4 delays throughout the day, ultimately resulting in the flight being canceled, an alternative flight being offered the following day. Ms. Barraza and her family
No, this isn't our first flight case. The last one was out of Michigan. This is Washington. The last one was an older couple who got to the airport 20 minutes before their flight left, and they weren't allowed to get on the plane. So that's why they sued. They sued for first class tickets and everything. But this is not the same case.
Elected to purchase tickets through, I think it was Delta, because the offered JetBlue flight essentially wouldn't get them to the tournament in time, and so they purchased tickets through Delta, and kind of because of the situation, I believe your son had to sort of travel alone, red eye, Ms. Barraza, and I believe her spouse went through had to do a layover in Minneapolis, kind of got there later, And the allegations are the additional flight, ticket costs, Airbnb night, losing the car rental reservation as the damages. What JetBlue has filed is information from their contract of carrier, essentially indicating that when JetBlue cancels or otherwise fails to operate a scheduled flight in its contract, it indicates that what it will do is will offer passengers another JetBlue flight at no additional charges or provide passengers with a full refund.
You know who did roller derby? That one prosecutor that was in front of Judge Simpson all the time. I don't remember her name. She brunette. She was a brunette. That's all I remember about her. But she was roller derby. Those pictures got spread on multiple Discord channels.
Of their tickets, and otherwise is not liable for other types of special, incidental, or consequential damages associated with flights being delayed or canceled. JetBlue, my understanding is, did refund the 3 tickets at $193 a piece as kind of an offer to sort of goodwill, I suppose. But that nevertheless, here we are. So I have a few more notes here, but I understand there's a lot. Both sides filed quite a bit of exhibits that I've reviewed, but that's sort of the top line summary based on my review of everything. So with that in mind, I'll swear in the parties. So I'll start with you, Ms. Barraza. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So everything you said is the gist of why we are here today. And I am here because this was not a force majeure event. Yes, there was an initial ATC delay. And I mean, JetBlue conveniently allows for an ATC delay to then be kind of the major reason for a cancellation if it's a part of the list of delays, as long as the subsequent delays are reasonably related. And so I would be interested to know how a thunderstorm in Boston is reasonably related to a part missing from a jump seat on the airplane in Seattle, and how that can be the ultimate cause of the delay. And that's the reason that I brought this forward, is because if it was force majeure, obviously it would be something that I would just have to deal with, right? But because it wasn't, and we were significantly delayed, and I had to make the best decision for my family to get to this event in time, we ended up having to panic buy flights, competing with 200 other people looking to buy flights to Boston, and ended up with over $4,000 in flights, as well as missed Airbnb and rental car. And so I took all of those fees and I subtracted out the credits that they gave us, and am just looking to be made whole.
All right, here's some travel advice. Especially if you're going to something for an event. If it's vacation, it's a little different. But you're going to an event, you know exactly when it's going to start. Why do you wait till the day before to fly out? Go it early. Take an extra day off work. I know not everyone can do that, but give yourself a little grace period. So then, if you go a day early and something happens to your flight, you're going to be priority against all the other people that were trying to rush around to get on a flight. I don't get some time management sometimes. I don't.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Barraza. All right. I do have a few follow-up questions for you, but I think it makes more sense to first swear in Mr. Is it Pugmire?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Pugmire, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to clarify that the force majeure is not the biggest issue here, although that is part of the reason for the delay. Section 25 of JetBlue's contract of carriage governs situations where a scheduled flight is not operated, regardless of the reason or the underlying cause. Under that provision, the passengers' remedies are limited to either transportation on another of JetBlue's flights on which space is available in the same class of service at no additional charge, or a refund of the unused portion of the ticket. So it doesn't matter that it was a force majeure, that it was a seat issue, that it was whether. The bottom line is Section 25 contract of carriage agreed upon at time of purchase is that we'll either transport you on another flight or offer a refund. We fulfilled our contractual obligations. We scheduled her on another flight. We do understand that that flight would not have arrived until Saturday. It would have caused her to miss the tournament, but that was the flight we could offer. She then opted for the refund and scheduled other flight arrangements.
All right. Thank you for that. And I'm curious. So my view also kind of zeroed in on that section 25 of the contract of carriage. Although I am curious, because it kind of helped me get a fuller picture here.
Yeah, I was gonna make a way worse comment than that. And now that I said that out loud, I'm not gonna be able to help myself. You know, he looks like an attorney that would work for JetBlue. I'm just gonna keep it at that. I'm not gonna say anything else. That was what was going through my head. A little bit more specific, but no, we'll keep it at that.
A lot of the exhibits submitted do go into cause of delay being controllable or uncontrollable, and whether they are reasonably related to each other if there's subsequent reasons for delay. How does the type of delay, whether it's controllable or uncontrollable, what is the effect of that? Does that change what JetBlue offers its passengers, or what is the relevance?
Yes, Your Honor. The controllable or uncontrollable relates directly to the customer bill of rights and what type of compensation we offer. If it's delayed for a certain amount of time, we offer a certain amount of a customer bill of rights credit, travel credit. If it's delayed a certain amount of time, we offer food credits, vouchers, things like that. If it's delayed overnight, we offer a hotel. So the controllable, uncontrollable is deemed part of the compensation for that is part of our bill of rights. Then section 25 is independent of if we end up not operating, here is what we're obligated to provide.
Okay, so I saw somewhere in the file, there's an August 1st email from JetBlue indicating meal expenses up to $12 per meal, ground transportation up to $75 to and from a local hotel. Those sort of kick in depending on the status of a controllable or uncontrollable delay.
Correct, Your Honor. And if they had taken that flight, then a hotel, possibly because the flight wouldn't have flown till the following day in the evening, then there would have been a hotel. And there were notes in the reservation about when the plaintiff described or explained at the airport, we booked on another airline, they advised then the hotel that we would offer no longer applies because you're no longer listed on our flight. So
okay. All right. So then if there's a, let's say there's a controllable delay that results in a canceled flight, per the customer bill of rights.
They're playing paper basketball. So when he just went over, he had to go collect all the balls to come back to play somewhere. That's what they're doing.
Policy or whatever that is, there would be certain travel credits, certain reimbursement of expenses that passengers would be eligible for, provided that they are rebooked on.
Oh, he's a dachshund. I bet he's tall and skinny. He's a dachshund.
A JetBlue airline.
Correct.
Does that sound right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for helping me understand that. Okay. So Ms. Barraza, back to you. I understand that what you filed, I think most recently too, in response to documentation that JetBlue provided, you're responding specifically to the notion that the JetBlue flight that was offered as the alternative essentially wouldn't work with your plans, your whole reason for going to Boston. That's why you had to incur some of those incidental consequential damages, costs associated with your decision to purchase a ticket immediately through another airline. And that what was essentially being offered by JetBlue simply didn't work with your plans. And I understand that. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. What JetBlue is focusing in on is that contract of carriage, which does sort of outline that in the event of a delay or a cancellation, the passengers' remedies are, as Mr. Pugmire, sorry, Mr. Pugmire was indicating, are you get a refund on your tickets, or you get rebooked at no expense on a JetBlue flight, and that there's that language in all caps that carrier shall, well, this part's not, but carrier, so JetBlue shall have no liability or responsibility to any passenger as a result of the failure to operate any flight. All caps, under no circumstances shall carrier be liable to any passenger for any type of special, incidental, or consequential damages. I understand those special, incidental, consequential damages, those are sort of legalese terms. They essentially mean costs that you incur as a result of the the occurrence of, in this case, a failure to operate a flight. But do you have any response specifically to that provision of the contract, separate from the reason for the delay, the contract that you agreed to when you purchased tickets, indicating that if there's a delay, you're entitled to flight refunds or being put on another JetBlue flight, and really nothing else, if you elect to go on another flight. Do you have any response specifically to that, ma'am?
No, I think I guess question would be around that is like, what is the difference between a direct damage versus a consequential or incidental damage?
Yeah, understood. And again, this is where these are legal contracts, and frankly, I usually don't read these types of stuff myself. So what that basically means is, what they're saying there is that incidental or consequential damages, it's kind of what these terms are essentially indicating is that damages, so costs incurred as a result of the delayed flight. So in your case, kind of my thinking here is, in your case, it's exactly what you're alleging, right? It's costs associated with booking another flight at the last minute, when competition is high and that price skyrockets, losing out on your, one night of your Airbnb, of your car rental, things of that nature. Those are damages that are of consequence to the flight being delayed. And so when you agree to that contract of carriage, you're essentially agreeing that your remedies, if there's a delay or cancellation, are limited to what JetBlue is offering, which is that full refund, or putting you on another JetBlue flight, as well as some reimbursements if you do elect to do one of those things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So on that basis, ma'am, so I'm going to rule in favor of JetBlue here, and dismiss the claim against them, given what's in the language of the contract of carriage. So I understand this sounds like it was a very frustrating experience for you and your family. And unfortunately, when it comes to your legal remedies, though, those are costs that I can't award you in a small claims judgment.
I do want to say, when we went to the counter, they did tell us that we needed to cancel our flight in order to receive the compensation for hotel and like car and that sort of thing. And so I don't know if it was just misspoken or we misunderstood, but that was part of why we went ahead and cancellation. And I'm also a little bit interested to know why there is the piece of the failure to operate as scheduled that is point C that speaks of the force majeure and why, like, it's just unfortunate that like corporations can take advantage of people in this way.
Well, I think the reason of the flight being delayed either
No, they didn't take advantage of you. I mean, you paid for one of the cheapest airlines there is, so you get that kind of level of service. There's really no other argument here. I mean, I feel bad, but what did she expect? You know, you pay for what you get.
controllable or uncontrollable. It sounds like that goes to, whether some passengers, the extent that they get travel credits and reimbursement for some associated expenses to whether it was a controllable or uncontrollable event. It sounds like that's more of the, that's what that goes to, which is separate from, what you're asking for, which is judgment in favor of you for essentially paying back some of those other consequential damages associated with the flight, the canceled flight. So again, I think that issue is a bit separate from what you're asking for, which is recovery of costs associated with the trip. All right, so I'm sorry, ma'am. I know this didn't go the way you probably wanted it today, but legally, again, I don't find that there's a basis for the judgment, so I'll rule in favor of JetBlue. And thank you both for your time this morning.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for showing up, Mr. Pugmire.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What was that? Thank you for showing up, Mr. Pugmire. Oh, was that like if he didn't show up, I would have got a default judgment? Maybe that's what she was hoping. You know, used to a corporation, maybe an attorney won't show up. I don't know. I mean, it happens. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got tonight. That's all I have. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I do appreciate it. Yeah. Like I said earlier, I had to scramble to put this together. The second one, the JetBlue one, it was interesting, but it wasn't the most exciting case. First one I thought was pretty good though. But just kind of slapping something together last minute. I'm not terribly disappointed in tonight. I hope you guys weren't either. That being said, we're gonna call it a night. Tomorrow night is date night, so I will not be online. I honestly might not even have a video out for tomorrow. I'll try to find something, but yeah, losing my my backlog of court, that's gonna be a pain. I'll be able to get it back. It's just not gonna be instant. Hopefully, sometime this week I'll figure it out. But yeah. Anyways, MB, thank you so much for the super chat, and it's really good to see you. Really good to see you. It's fun talking to you in Judge Simpson's courtrooms this afternoon. That case, that one case, MB, that's gonna be the members Monday night case. So yeah, I'm excited about that. That's gonna be a fun one. There's gonna be a lot of laughs with that. But MB, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, who we're gonna raid? Who are we gonna raid? There are so many people on. So many people on. Yeah. We got Katie's Edge, Shane, Lowell, Kfar. Looks like Mike just finished. But when I started and I saw that there weren't a lot of people. I'm like, we're way below average. So I took a look. I'm like, oh, there's like 6 channels streaming right now. Looks like most of them have finished though. You know what? We'll jump over to Shane. I haven't rated Shane in a hot minute, so we'll jump over to Shane. Anyways, I just gave you the list of people that are on. So if you don't want to go check out Shane, you can go anywhere else. And yeah. So that's all I got. I don't know how else to finish it up, so I'll just let it go. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great weekend. Don't do anything dumb. You don't want to end up on my channel. I'll see you guys Sunday night. Okay, bye.